Welcome to Indonesia, where it's either pouring with rain or it's just finished raining or it's about to rain. Either way, it knows how to rain here. Welcome back to the channel. You might have guessed, not in southern Australia in the middle of winter anymore. Here we are in Indonesia on the beautiful Nikoi Island. It's a bit of a little hidden gem, and not too many people know about it. Those people who do know about it, like us, keep coming back. And today, the Duffy, the adventurer, heads to the water. Amazing to think that just a week ago, I was freezing my feet off in southern Australia panning for gold. We first found this place almost by accident back in 2010. We travelled here as a family with our 2 young kids. And we couldn't believe what we'd found. This was so unlike any resort options in Australia. For a start, if this was in Australia, they wouldn't be allowing kids here. It's got kind of a luxury premium adults only feel, but it's actually really welcoming for families. So this is our 5th time here in the last 15 years. And anyone else got a place like that they just keep going back to because some sentimental attachment to it, or perhaps they haven't found anything that matches up? Anyway, that was the case with Nikoi. Every other holiday we went on, just like, it was good, but it wasn't quite Nikoi. One thing that they've really worked hard on here is upholding the environmental standards that they set themselves all those years ago when they set up, in terms of keeping the place clean, in terms of rehabilitating the coral reefs and preserving the coral reefs and the fish that live offshore, but also to right down to environmentally sustainable food practices and making sure that their staff are well treated. All the Indonesian staff come from neighbouring islands, and they're all treated really well, and they clearly love working here. It's another thing you won't find in Australia, as much as I love Australians and I love holidaying in Australia. But there's something about how Indonesians do hospitality service and resort service. There are plenty of places like this in Indonesia that are just out there waiting to explore and discover. This spot is almost smack bang on the equator, so it doesn't really matter if it's raining. It's always 30 degrees all year round, just about 30 degrees out of the water, 30 degrees in the water, 90% humidity. Perfect. And this island's got a really cool history to it as well. It's not so far from Singapore, which was the centre of a lot of activity during World War II, a lot of comings and goings with Allied fleets until the fall of Singapore in 1942. It's really hard to imagine, through all the suffering of that time and the conflict and the hostilities around this area, and now it's a resort island. It's just a world away from that history. So about half the island on Nikoi is the resort, and the other half is, well, best described as extremely natural. It's a path that takes you around some of it, but really it's you're in the jungle here, and it's fantastic. I'll watch where I put my feet. I mean, how cool is this place? Look at this jungle. This is the real deal. So the story goes that during the Second World War, this part of the island was actually home to Japanese troops who'd sort of hidden themselves away, waiting for any Allied servicemen to unwittingly land on the beach here. Now, as a young guy coming up, I read a few Australian war history books, and there was one story that just absolutely resonated with me, and it was actually played out in these waters. And that was the story of the Zed Force, an elite group of commandos who were trained in secret in Australia and took off into the waters north of Australia with one express purpose, and that is to sink as many ships as they could in Singapore Harbour. That's a long way from Australia to Singapore, and they did it in one of the most unlikely ways possible. Disguised as Indonesian fishermen, they'd taken over a commandeered Indonesian fishing boat and sailed up and into the waters of Indonesia. You can only imagine what it was like trying to evade Japanese search parties and ships that they'd come across. And I see these little Indonesian fishing boats out there now, and I think, well, some things haven't actually changed that much. People are still taking to open waters in these ridiculously small and dangerous boats. Anyway, cut a long story short, their raid on Singapore Harbour and attaching limpet mines to the bottoms of some of these really significant cargo and military vessels in Singapore Harbour was the stuff of legends. And remarkably, they did so by boats, best described as collapsible canoes. They're called foal boats. And they paddled the rest of the way into Singapore Harbour under cover of darkness, attached mines to the bottoms of ships, set detonators, and paddled away as the harbour was lit up by explosion after explosion. The boat that they travelled north in, the Crate, is still in the Australian Maritime Museum in Sydney. Go down and have a look. It's an amazing story. And the more you look into the exploits of these guys, the more you realise that theirs was an incredibly heroic feat. Every time I come to this island and I see the Indonesian fishing boats passing by and I hear the putt-putt-putt of their engines, I'm reminded of the Australian commandos who came this way 80 years ago and the amazing feats that they performed. Camping on beaches like this, remaining disguised, hiding in the mangroves, achieving their goal and sneaking away back to the safety of Australia. Amazing guys. Happened right here. But the world's an amazing place, isn't it? It's pretty big. Get out there and explore it.
Bye guys! Bye.